So I've already mentioned the Apple ecosystem a few times on this channel, but I never really took my time to explain what it is and why it is so important to Apple. In today's video, I'm going to dive into Apple's ecosystem, but I will also mention some other ecosystems that have emerged in the past years. And yes, I know I'm not the first one to make such a video. Feel free to throw tomatoes at me if you want, but I believe that such content should be on a channel like this. So that being said, let's begin. An ecosystem is a place where its components are connected and communicate between them in an efficient way. We see this a lot of times in the real world. Places that function differently and have their own protocols. Amazon forest or the coral barriers, for example. We took this concept and adapted it for the tech world. Imagine that even your phone can be considered an ecosystem. Oversimplified, obviously. You got a bunch of components which communicate at a very, very fast speed. And they're doing that seamlessly. Together, they offer you an experience. But as I said, this is oversimplified. In reality, an ecosystem is more complex than that. Those components need some circuits, electricity, some protocols, etc. in order to function. Now, let's take this a step further and imagine that the phone is one single component in an ecosystem. Let's say you have an iPhone and a MacBook. Two components of what we call the Apple ecosystem. When you are connecting to these two devices using your Apple ID, they are becoming interconnected through the cloud, or iCloud to be more specific. What does that mean? Well, you write a note on your iPhone and it will appear on the MacBook as well. You take a photo with your iPhone, it will sync with iCloud and it will be available in the Photos app on both your iPhone and the MacBook, and I can carry on. But some of the features are not limited to only your Apple devices. AirDrop works between any Apple devices, so you can also transfer stuff to someone else's iPhone, MacBook, you name it. Just get your iPhone close to this person's iPhone and boom, the magic happens. iMessage, Wi-Fi password sharing, and a lot more features depending on what you own from them. I was using these features a lot before I switched to the Samsung and I simply loved them. Let's talk about how Apple does this and how it benefits them. Apple is known for their closed system approach, as in they want to have full control on everything. End to end, basically, from apps to transactions. Two main reasons for that. One, it gives them the opportunity to make sure that everything is compatible end to end, so the implementation of an app into the system will be seamless. Have you ever heard of something called the Apple Way? But like this, they will also make sure that everything that they are developing themselves will work properly inside their yard. The second reason is, well, the money. Do you want to have an app on the App Store? Fine, just pay their annual fee, and if you offer paid services through that app, they will retain 30% of the money that you make. And you can't really do anything about it, unless your market is only in the EU. So yeah, in that case, you don't need to go through the App Store. These two reasons represent the fundamentals of Apple's approach on services and their ecosystem. They realized quite early that services represent the future. Hardware, as we know it, won't bring that much profit. There is one main problem with this. Apple wants to make sure that once you got into their ecosystem, you never leave. All their features benefit the customers a lot, but Apple are not fully committed to them because of that reason. You bought an iPhone? What about 3 months of free Apple Music? Then after that, we're going to charge you $5, $10, or $15 a month. I guess it depends on the region. You ran out of storage because you took too many pictures and our storage hardware prices are outrageous? No worries. For only $0.99 a month, you get 50 gigabytes of iCloud storage. Basically 10 times more than we offer you for free, for only $1 a month. But hey, you know what? We have some very good deals on bundles. And like that, you end up sucked in their services, which work great, don't get me wrong, but they are subscription based and you don't really own anything if you decide to just leave. And they become quite expensive as well. Their most expensive bundle on their US website is around $38 a month, which is quite a lot of money, you know? Also, because their ecosystem works so great and they have so many services, you might as well find yourself buying a pair of maybe AirPods or an Apple Watch, and like that it becomes a kind of masked upselling. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with it, but if you try to get out of this ecosystem, they will make sure that it is harder than it looks to do that. It's hard to find something just as good, obviously, but then when you want to transfer your phone data to another phone, like Android for example, yes, it will copy most of them, but no one will transfer your Apple Music playlists, for example. And yeah, you can find Apple Music on Play Store, but it's pretty rubbish, to be honest with you. The Find My app, for example, it only works with Apple devices. No more iMessages, even though they're using RCS now and it's compatible with Android as well. Trust me, it's not the same experience. And I feel that more things, more apps or services can be updated in such a way to be more compatible with some Android devices as well. It would be nice. And that brings us to the next chapter. Alternatives and their problem. We see more and more ecosystems showing up, and they are promising. But the main issue with them is that they try more or less to follow the same model. Create a Samsung account so you can personalize your phone with themes or use Samsung Pass. Now you need to have 2 accounts to be able to use all the stuff your phone has to offer. A Google account and a Samsung account. Quick Share, their AirDrop version, will work seamlessly if you have another Samsung device. But Quick Share is not an Android thing. But credit where it's due. You can actually share stuff through Quick Share by generating a QR code or a link. But note that some of the stuff cannot be sent through that. I've tried to send a document today and for some reason QuickShare refused to generate that QR code or a link. It can also work wirelessly if you can download the QuickShare app on the other device that you're trying to send to, but I don't know how many devices are compatible, but still better than AirDrop from that point of view if you ask me. However, Samsung generally is trying to attract people into their ecosystem of services and devices, which probably works great, but it will be respecting the same strategy as Apple's. GMS, or Google Mobile Services, is also a good mention. And this is interesting because you get the Google Suite pre-installed on most of the Android phones. And in order to use your phone properly, for example, to download apps from the Google Play Store, you'll need a Google account. So everything gets synced the moment you log in into that. As I said, it is applicable for most of the Android phones out there. What I don't like is Google's general business model and the fact that GMS is slowly turning into something similar to the Apple ecosystem. After I transferred everything from my iPhone to my Samsung, I got a notification from Google Photos telling me that I ran out of storage on Google Cloud. And they offer me a free month of something like 100 gigs. So generous, isn't it? I'm like, I don't care. I have pretty much enough storage on my phone for anything that I need, and also I'm not the biggest fan of keeping my personal stuff in the cloud. But they do really care, and they make sure that they send me the same notification at least once a week. Just as Apple, Xiaomi's ecosystem is also worth mentioning, especially considering their insane product catalog. When I'll buy a house, they will be my go-to for making it smart. By the way, I'm planning to make dedicated videos for pretty much every ecosystem that I know, including what they have to offer. If there is anything that you would like me to cover, or if there is any ecosystem that you would like me to try, please let me know. Now, I want to go back to Apple and conclude this video. Apple has had this strategy for a long time, and that allowed their ecosystem to evolve a lot. Imagine that we got to a point where you can control your iPhone from your MacBook's screen. Like, literally have the screen there and use it just as you would do, but with a trackpad and a normal keyboard, while your phone can be anywhere in the house. That's insane. By all means, this is the best implementation, and I simply love it. Now, I said it in the past, and I will keep saying it. The Apple ecosystem is the best out there, and it's great, but competition is needed. More competition is needed. And I hope we will see more in the future. I mean, we're definitely not getting rid of the subscription model, and they will keep using our data to target ads to us, but at least they can try and make it a bit more affordable and more available across the globe. Now, you let me know. What is your view over the Apple ecosystem and their long-term strategy? If you're an Apple user, What services and features are you using the most, and how much do you pay for them? Would you switch to another ecosystem? And if you already did, how does it work for you? I'm waiting for your answers down below in the comment section. That's it for this video. I hope you liked it, and I hope I convinced you to press those like and share buttons. It would be much appreciated. I'm done for today. I'll see you guys next week. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.